Good evening, everyone. Welcome to On Deck here on the Finstock Sports Network. I'm Russ Morgan here with Rob Mosley. Rob, we're about like 6 weeks through. How are you feeling about the season so far?
It's okay. Like I said, my Red Sox doing a little better. They've hit a little bad streak recently, but overall, the baseball season's fun. We got the big news that we're going to talk about that everyone's talking about. Some big star makes a debut tomorrow. Hopefully, he becomes a big star. It'd be good for the city of Pittsburgh and everything. It's been long waited. Oh,
Well,
sorry.
you kicked it off there. The big news is Paul Skenes is finally getting the call up, and we'll be starting against the Cubs tomorrow, 4:05 Eastern. We'll be on the bump, and I'm pretty sure they're in Pittsburgh. Um, I'm jacked up about this because I scouted the guy a little bit in college, saw him in high school, excuse me, not college. He was at Air Force when I was still scouting. So I'm jacked up. Got to talk to him a little bit and really liked his character and as a person. And the guy could even swing the bat. So I'm excited to see him, and then seeing him, pitch at LSU. I want to see him do it at the level. And obviously, he dominated the minor league competition. Just give him the shot.
Yeah.
What are you excited about on
Oh
this?
no, exactly. I'm looking forward to it. We're neither one of us are Pittsburgh fans, but it is a historic franchise. It would be nice to see if they can get some of this young talent turn around, and hopefully Skeens can be an ace for a long time for them and start getting Pittsburgh love back in baseball now, because they have one of the best, coolest looking ballparks when you just watch on TV. It's one of the ballparks I would like to see one day, because I just think it's cool how you see the bridge and all that stuff in the background. But I'll definitely be tuning a bit tomorrow. I may not watch all of it since I got stuff to do, and getting Mother's Day's planned all set up. But I would try to sneak in and watch some of that game tomorrow, especially his first couple innings. They say he's been on like a 75 pitch count in the minors, so I don't know how far that would get him in his major league debut, or if do they extend it a little bit. We will find out.
Well, yeah, I'm with you on that. I know some people from Pittsburgh, and I've had a couple buddies who went to that stadium, and they say you take the ferry in, and it is just a great experience. And obviously, Pittsburgh's historic, you know, franchise there. So, and they're right there in the thick of things. Still, they're only 5.5 back in Milwaukee in a kind of wide open NL Central, and I think it's just about time. Get him up. You already got one young pitcher in Jared Jones who's there. Get him up there. A nice 1-2 punch, showing your fan base, which has been, kind of starving for these young guys for a long time, since maybe Garrett Cole left.
Yeah.
We got traded from Pittsburgh. Show them that, hey, we got some future, which obviously they do. They got O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds just signed a big deal, but they need to bring this guy up and sell it to the fan base, because I'm sure the Pittsburgh fans, they're used to winning in Pittsburgh. They got the Steelers, they got the Penguins there.
Yeah, no, they want a winning team. I'm old enough to remember really Stargell, Dave Parker, and all those guys back in the day for the Pirates. So, it'd be good to, like I say, see them. Maybe I could have a Red Sox Pirate for World Series one day. I will rule your Orioles and Yankees out. But I know the Orioles for you, Jeff, in there.
I actually, obviously one historic. I did a mission trip in Puerto Rico, and these guys are barely, they know baseball, but they weren't huge baseball guys. But all they talk about, they'll come around there, get a base hit. They'll be like, "I'm Roberto Clemente."
Oh, I can imagine. Of
They go
course,
now. I'm like, they don't know any, barely know anything about baseball, but they know Roberto Clemente. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'll probably watch a couple innings. Obviously, he's a Southern California guy, so El Toro High School. So was definitely it's big for my area. And Jared Jones is actually from that area as well too. Went to La Mirada. But I'm excited, and I'm glad for me. I'm glad because it's just like, as we both said, he's dominated minor league hitting. He's got his
Yeah.
Just let him get his bumps and bruises at the major league level.
And his most, I'm like you. A lot of times, I don't really like comparing one player to another, but everyone wants to compare him to Strasburg, and I do see some similarities. I hope, like we talk behind scenes, we hope he avoids the injury history of Strasburg. But a lot of, they were both highly touted #1 draft picks coming out of college, being a first round pick of their respective teams. And Strasburg, he had some success when he was healthy, but unfortunately, the when healthy was the key phrase there because he basically played full, like only 3 full seasons, and the rest was mired. A lot of it was mired in injuries, but he did have the World Series at least under his belt, and got that in. And he had some All Star appearances, but hopefully, Skenes even exceeds those goals and goes on to a long healthy career, and hopefully, we see him playing for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Strasburg's still under contract with the Nationals. There, still
Oh
have
no,
another.
he's not hurting financially now. No, it's not.
And they
It's not.
still
I'm not.
lose.
I'm not crying a river for him, but he is definitely injuries derailed
Yeah, I
for the
mean,
board.
it was too bad. That was it was a fun pitcher to watch. The way he worked the zone was always fun, and it just the one thing with baseball, and I tell a lot of being a guy who coaches, you got to tell a lot of the younger kids to take care of your arm because it's not a natural motion. The throwing
Oh,
motion is it's not natural, so that's why you see more injuries. And if you're not taking care of your elbow properly, you're probably going to get hurt more. You might even get hurt even if you'll get hurt even if you're taking care of your elbow properly.
oh, we got a Pirate fan in the
Oh,
house. That's
nice,
awesome,
nice.
Daniel.
We are
He
both
comes to my
jacked up.
Dolphin shows a lot, but good to see him here as um, you know, as a baseball fan. Didn't realize he was a Pirates fan. As you can
I
see,
was
my baseball, I'm outside of my South Florida market. I still got my Dolphin stuff real close though
I
there.
don't know if you saw, Bleacher Report was throwing a lot of like Skenes highlights out, and they had like the Skenes, and they had him at Air Force hitting, and he is just dropping tanks at the
Yeah.
plate.
How's Daniel? If you watch a lot of Pittsburgh Pirate baseball, how's the catcher Daniel Day? I think is or not Daniel, well, whatever Davis. That he was like a number
Oh,
one
Henry
overall.
Davis. Henry Davis. Yeah, Henry Davis.
Yeah, he was a #1 pick overall a couple of years back. So I'm wondering how he's doing. Hope I think he's in the major. I mean, he's in the major. I don't think he's in the
Played
majors,
with
but I don't know his numbers and stuff.
played with United Kingdom in the WBC.
Okay, cool. So hopefully, you can maybe he would get his career fired up. They got a lot of talent on that team, and hopefully, I think Skeens though will be like I say, I think he's going to be good. Mike, yeah,
I think
yes,
we get
I
this
agree, man.
question.
That's why it's
Do we get this question every
yeah.
week about Soto? Uh,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, I mean, all the reports is Soto wants an Otani type deal, and I mean, the guy's in his prime, and he's swinging a good. I mean, he's the
Yeah.
best player on that team right now. Speaking of that, we brought this up last week about Judge kind of struggling, and he is hot now, really hot. Turned it on, just get a couple base hits, you start feeling it.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. See, I don't follow Pittsburgh. He says Davis has been demoted to AAA.
But
So
with the Skeens, I think we're both pretty excited, and
yeah,
we for me, I wish him the best. I hope he has a long career.
yeah, no, me too. I mean, the guy has nasty stuff. Definitely dominated in the minors. He let me see. I looked up some of his minor stats. So let me look at them real quick. But yeah, so yeah, in the minors, in he had 12 starts, 34 innings pitched, 1.85 ERA, 0.94 WHIP, 55 Ks. His K percentage was 41.4%, and walks about, based on balls, our ball percent is 7.5. Opponents are hitting 179 against him in the minors. So obviously, he was dominating in the minors. So it's time to see what he can do tomorrow. And it'd be interesting to see what kind of pitch count he's on the first few weeks of the season. I mean, or not of the season, but of his tenure in the majors.
Well, Rob, we'll move off a little right. Maybe what was it Friday night? Maybe set Friday night. San Diego Padres made a trade with the Marlins for Luis Ariz. What do
Yes,
you think of that deal?
I just me being local here, I know the few Marlin fans that do exist, they're very upset about it. Just saying, oh, every time we get invested in someone, he's out the door. We make a move for him. We're thinking, oh, we're finally being serious. We're bringing in, and then a couple of years later, after here he is being shipped out for prospects again, and they could turn out to be good, but it's just like turning it all over again. Now you get that. Now they're asking to wait once again. After you making a playoff appearance last year, so the fans are disappointed. They're like, oh, we're building something. We're moving forward, and here same old Marlins shipping off a talent. And the weird thing about this is the Marlins took on a lot of the salary, so I don't really get the move unless they're just looking down the line. So I don't get it.
I mean, I mean, I'm not. I'm in Florida recently. I've been here a little under, a year. Will be on May 15th. But you're in the South Florida market. South Florida, seems like a big, even though it's not New York or Boston or LA, it still seems like a pretty big market. And Florida's booming, and Miami in general is booming. Why is it that the Marlins always, is it the ownership that always does this? Because I feel like Miami's still a big media market where they could spend a little money.
Yeah, no, they could, but they don't. They don't get the biggest attendance, I know. And then now they're having issues because just like the Rays, they're part of the Bally Sports Network, and Bally's like bankrupt right now. And so if you want to watch a Marlin game, you got to stream it somewhere. You can't just turn on or you got to listen to it on the radio because Bally Sports. And so if you go, like if you're a cable subscriber and you go, oh, let me see what the Marlins are doing, it says bank, Xfinity has a message on there saying we've tried to let them still let us show their games, but they're in bankruptcy and they're not listening to our request. So, and that's it. So you can't even see them. So it's really hurting. Someone's going to have to pick up their rights quick so their games can be seen on TV, or they're going to lose because, you know, because they're saying you could subscribe to the Bally's app while they're still going through bankruptcy and pay $30 a month. How many people are going to pay $30 a month to be, once the Marlins? So they're kind of in a dilemma right now on that front.
Same thing with me. I mean, the Rays are playing my Yankees. I can't even see them unless I want to go to a bar, which I
Yeah.
don't need to go to a bar to watch a baseball game, which is kind of frustrating. But we'll move on a little bit. But actually, the Arise deal, I love Luis Arise. This guy's just a classic old school baseball player. And like you said, I'm not a big fan of comps either. Being in the scouting world, you hear comps all the time, and you hear, you know, astronomical comps that are just like you're comping this guy to a Hall of Famer. But, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying this, but I've heard people say, comparing Arise to Tony Gwynn just because
Oh,
what he does with the bat. The guy is,
and
he's
now he's out there in the right place. So to be out for that comparison. So
right. Well, that's a tough guy to live up to. We'll move
oh
on.
no, very tough. That's another great, you know, player from our past that you just mentioned. Ashamed he passed away so young, but it's just
Well,
he's
speaking of Tony Gwynn, he was Steven Strasburg's coach at San Diego State. But we'll move on. We'll just go with the power rankings 1 through 10. Dodgers, what do you think this week? They swept the Braves. They're 26-13.
yeah, no, they're coming on. We all figured they were gonna be coming on. And I see they were previous three, so they moved up. I mean, this is the Dodger team we all expected. They paid for it. Some of the guys are the young guys. They got their, the Walker Bueller's coming back and all this. So they're gonna be tough, tough, tough for anyone else to win that division. Then when it comes to the playoffs, of course, we know it's a whole different game. One bad series, you could be out. But for
Yeah. I mean, it's happened to them in the past a handful of times. One bad series.
Yep.
I mean, but I mean, the pitching, Glasnow's looking like looking like the ace that they like. That when he was with healthy was looking like that guy with the Rays. Yamamoto's 4-1 with 2.79 ERA. Betts 3.46, and he doesn't even have the best average on the team. Ohtani is just tearing the cover off the ball right now. Batting 3.55 with 11 home runs.
Yeah. No, it's insane. Like I said, I mean, we knew this was going to happen. We knew it was just a matter of time. They're going to run away with the NL West. I mean, it's all going to be about for those other teams, like for the Diamondbacks and these teams to try. And I'm not ruling out the Giants or Padres, whoever you want to say. All those teams, their best hope is to get into the wild card spot because they're not going to win the division. There's no one knocking them off for the division. You could almost give them the NL West pennant right now. So it's just like that's how they would have to implode like in the history of baseball that we haven't seen before for them not to win the division.
I mean, yeah, it's basically them and everybody else right now. I think we can rule out the Rockies for a wild card spot, but
Yeah.
Padres had that big deal. Rise will definitely help them. It's hard hit in Petco, but yeah, it's the Dodgers. I mean, like we've said in the past, I think Roberts, if they don't win it all this year, I think he might be on his last leg as the coach. But
Yeah.
I mean, we got the Phillies are coming on hot. I mean, what 26 and 12?
Oh no, I mean they're really hot. I mean they just been kicking butt, man. So what are you gonna
Got
do?
tied for the best record in the MLB right now. They they swept the Giants over the weekend. Alex Baum's another name that people who
Yeah,
listen to our show love, and he's tearing it up too with the 346.
no, I mean yeah, I
Rangers
mean they
Suarez.
actually have a couple game leads on them. I still think the Braves, I would think, are the cream of the crop in that division, but the Phillies keep on making me start second guessing that prediction because I was thinking I knew the Phillies were a really good team and would make the playoffs, but I thought the Braves are just a little more complete overall for a whole marathon of a regular season. But right now, man, they got they're up there a couple games. They both got the same number of losses. It's just how many games they've played is on the main difference. But
Yeah,
it's
the end of
just
the day, it'll all even out. But we
yeah,
got a long time. But yeah, they're looking good. They're not even, and they're two top dudes in the rotation aren't even, don't have. Ranger Suarez who's 6-0 with the 1.72 ERA. So that's really, that's another arm that, has probably always eluded the Phillies for the last couple of years to once they get into playoff mode that they never have that solidified number 3 arm to focus on.
yep, no, you're right, man. So I don't know. I just think you know, there's a lot of really good teams this year, and it's going
I
to be
mean, and
very,
then we'll
very
go.
interesting.
We finally got our first AL team. Baltimore 24 and 12. Burns, even though he's not, he's 3-2, but he's got a 2.83 ERA, and I mean they took care of my Yankees pretty easily, and they outscored us.
No, I mean, yeah,
They took
the
care of
Orioles
my
beat the Orioles beat my Red Sox too, so don't worry about it. But that was more or less expected. You guys are probably going to the two of you guys will probably battle for the division the whole
I mean,
year. I still think the Orioles. I predict them at the beginning of the season. I mean, a lot of people were saying the Yankees. Some people thought the Orioles would fall back a little bit, being a young team and whatnot after last year's great run. But I don't know. Those are you guys should be up there competing all year long between you and the
well,
Orioles.
Rob, I'm kind of with you. I think it's the Orioles to win. I think they probably end up winning the East, especially. I mean, the Yankees played them last weekend and lost 3 out of 4, and we didn't score too many runs. So I mean, that kind of gets you. Grayson Rodriguez is a name. He's a young guy, another young guy on that. He's 4-1. You got Rutschman 318, Gunnar Henderson 11 home runs. So it's just these young guys are which is nice to see because I think the baseball needed a little bit of youth of these young guys to get some of these younger market watching baseball again.
No, that's it, and I think they are starting to get it. I read where, they're really getting. I mean, may take a few years to get the big stuff going again because they're really targeting young guy humans, little guy, a lot younger than my kids. So I mean, I see them and they're doing it. They're getting baseball back out there. People playing it more and they're liking it. So hopefully, we got a new generation because everyone always jokes, "Oh, baseball is an old man's game. Only old people like baseball." So it's just like hopefully because you can't sustain it forever if you don't get keep on getting new eyeballs on the game. So hopefully people, I know I've passed on my love for baseball to both of my sons. They both love watching baseball. So hopefully other parents have done that out there and they like watching baseball as well. So
All right, so we got at 5. The Braves are 22-12, same loss as the Phillies, but played less games. So technically, right
yeah,
now they're down in the division. But at the end of 162, it's going to be all figured out.
yeah,
Got
no, for
swept by
sure.
the Dodgers this past weekend, outscored 20-6. Do you think that's like maybe something to come that is the Dodgers NL to think, or it's like, hey, first it was in LA, first series, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it's nothing to worry about. I mean, yeah, I mean the Dodgers did spank them pretty well, and it stinks, for the Braves fans and stuff. Sorry, I just my guy, man, they were trying to score. Sorry, I peeked over at my Red Sox. They got thrown out at home plate inning over, but yeah, that was just a beat down. I mean, they Dodgers got good pitching out. They did everything. It was just a complete victory for the Dodgers over the Braves. But like, I'm not worried about it at this time of year. If I'm a Dodger fan, which I'm not, but I'm saying I'm not worried about it. I mean, a Braves fan, I'm not worried about it. They're going to be, you know, fine. It's a solid body club. Anything can happen in the playoffs. But yeah, for totally just be swept like that was a little surprising.
I mean, but we'll throw a little jab at you. Chris Sale's 5-1. Just want to throw that out.
I know. And he pitched well against my Red Sox the other night,
I
unfortunately. But
pitched, and Azuna's having a nice year. Batting 315, 12 home runs, 38 RBIs, and they're not getting it from Acuna hasn't looked all that great so far.
no, he hasn't. He hasn't been the Acuna. So that all these guys, just like we were talking about your Judge, we knew he was going to get his eventually. These guys, he's going to be good again. I mean, he's still good, but he's going to get hot again, and it's just a matter of when, not if. So it's just when he starts heating up, and they get some of their other guys going, because a lot of the guys aren't doing as well, but yet they're way up there in the power rankings still, and some of the guys aren't, like Riley's not doing as good as he's done in the past. And Riley, he's having an okay season, but nothing compared to last season so far. So, we'll see what they do, man.
I mean, speaking of the Yankees, half game back right now, 25-13. They swept the Tigers over the weekend. They just took 2 out of 3 from the Astros. And you got Soto's just looking at his advertised. He's batting 333. Judge, as we brought up last week, is starting to get pretty hot. For me, he got you get a couple base hits, you start seeing the ball better.
Yep. No, for sure, man. That's just, like I say, sometimes you jinx because last week we talked about Judge not doing it and talking about De La Cruz from the Reds being one of the hottest players, and then he struggled this week since then, and Judge got on fire. So it's just baseball. We say it almost every week on the show. It's a marathon. You can't worry about too much from game to game. You just got to, I mean, you got to go game to game. You just can't worry about, like if you're in a little bit of a slump because
Yeah.
it could take it easy. I know it's like superstition, but a simple bloop hit can change your whole thing. So it's just, it just gets you going, gets you more confidence up there.
And Judge has 9 home runs now. Speaking of, I know you're big. You always talk about exit velo. Did you see Stanton the other day on that line drive home run? at, was it 118, 119 off the bat?
Yeah, I know. That's insane, man. I would not want to be trying to catch that ball out there in the
No,
stand.
no.
I'd be running the other way, but I let someone else get the souvenir. So,
Yeah, I would. That's a broken hand for sure. Uh,
yeah.
Lucas Gee, it's spelled Luis. I think it's Luis Gil is how it's spelled, but they don't. He's Dominican, so they don't say the G in Spanish. Really, I don't think so. It's like
Okay.
Gil.
Okay.
Or
I
he's
would take
three.
the.
He's 3-1. Holmes, Clay Holmes, who's kind of got touted to be the next guy, has struggled. He's at 11 saves. I think he's number one in the MLB with saves now.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of saves, Jeff of the Back It Up Pin podcast, if you're in there, don't expect too much from Kimbrough getting better, man. I was like, when you get the Orioles signed him a while back, I was like, oh, I don't know about Kimbrough, but he was like, he helped the Red Sox win some, but he made me nervous every time he went out there. So sorry, when you just said close, it made me think. I saw where Kimbrough's been struggling for the Orioles. So
Yeah, I mean, but it's nice to see him come back. Cleveland, 24-14. I have no clue. For me, I have no clue how this team is still at the top of the AL Central, still one of the better records in the MLB. Because I mean, they got for me, they got no. There's no like big names. The one big name is Jose Ramirez, and he's really not doing much. I mean, I don't understand it. And their pitching is average is best.
yeah, I know that, but yep, you said it. I mean, you basically said it well. But they're still doing well. It's
They just, I
just,
mean, find a way to win, which is.
yep. I mean, they're like 11 games over 500, so they're obviously doing something well.
But I mean, I mean, Stephen Kwan 353, but he's not. It's the big names. There's not a lot of big names on that Guardians roster. I apologize. I said it a couple times. The Indians a couple times. Guardians roster that are really you can market right now, but they're still finding a way to win ball games. This is very surprising for me.
Yeah, that's funny that you say. I didn't even hear. I guess I'm so used. I didn't even catch you saying Indian, so I'm just used to it. So, but anyway, no, they're playing well. I mean, what can you say? Red Sox have matched up against them this year too. I mean, they're just playing well. It's no, we'll see if it holds over the course of a season. So, but for right now, they're playing above expectations for sure.
We got Texas right at what 7 right now, 22-17. Texas, I think, is for me very boring right now. Simeon's not doing much. Seager's batting 230, which is the only player that really I like besides Wyatt Langford, because I like Wyatt Langford.
Yeah.
Obviously, seeing him in college, just not much sell, but they're still 20.
Hey, they're the defending World Series champions, so
Yeah, the still leading the West there, which is very boring for me. But the one exciting thing about the West is the Astros are 11 games under 500.
Yeah, I know that's the one good thing out there. So they're 13-24. So yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, we got the Cubbies
Well,
right
you
below.
guys are the Yankees have beat up on the Astros this year, so it seems
Uh,
like.
Lawars. I think it's the lefty's going to go next, and then Jazz Chisholm might be a name to watch for the Marlins. Anthony to get shipped off next too.
A competing team.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to go with the lefty. I don't know Jesus, and then I think Chisholm might get shipped off to a competing, a contending team. There is,
Well,
I think after the Rise, it'll just be a fire sale for the Marlins.
yeah, I know. I'm thinking that too. They may come close to the trade deadline and everything, but yeah, you're right. That's why that move's kind of surprised me. I thought they were at
I'm
least.
with you there too because I feel, I mean the deadline's not that far far away, but you can definitely, if you're getting up to that deadline, you're going to have teams that might be a little more make a panic move because they want to get a guy who's going to help their team, and they might ship off more prospects, which the Marlins obviously want.
Yep. So
I
hey, Anthony, and welcome guys. By the way, if I hadn't said welcome, Scotty, Daniel, all you guys, Jeff for the Back It Up in podcast. Thank you guys for coming in here. But yeah, Anthony, I mean, we kind of touched on that, right? You said right now that the Astros are that far, and yes, we're a little surprised that they have fallen off this quickly after still being good last year. Normally, it's more of a progressive, slow, starting to not they just went off the cliff right now. And so we'll see if they bounce back and whatnot. And then he's already covered your Marlins question. So we're good.
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised, but the guys, like Bregman's not looking has after he's been slowly declining. Bregman's been declining ever since he came second in the MVP race, and he's started off really slow, and now Verlander is back, but I am surprised. I didn't think it would be this far of a fall. That being
I
11
know.
over 500, being such a team that's been so consistent in the last 6-7 years.
So there he says, I can trust the Astros because, of their because they know how to develop talent if they end up trading some of their established. Yeah, I know. That's the thing about the Astros. That's where the Marlins they kind of fell. They sometimes make these moves and then they don't really their prospects. They have turned out to be okay too. Because they had traded for they got Hanley Ramirez from the Red Sox several years ago and he had a good run with the Marlins. But a lot of times they trade for these guys and they turn out not to be all that. So we have to see on that front too. So
Yeah, well, we'll always have to see what the Astros have done a pretty good job developing, but I know they've had a little turnover in that system. So we'll see, those guys who develop. But if we're going historically wise, the Astros have done a very good job developing. I mean, I'm with you, Rob. I didn't think it would be this far of a fall,
I don't.
but maybe they turn it around. It's a very long year. We still got a lot of baseball to play. Right, we got the Cubs who still still 22-16 there.
Yeah,
Which
and
is surprised because they got the Brewers below them on this. I'm on ESPN, this power ranking, but only one game against the Padres. Imanaga's still 5-0. The Cubbies are. I mean,
he's done well. I mean, people are saying so far he's the best of the free agent signings. Coming in that and he's rated higher. Only at this point in the season, I saw a poll today. They did an anonymous poll of MLB executives, and they said so far, if we stand down, who's the top signing of the offseason, and he got it over even the Dodgers guys and all that. So
I
there
mean,
you go.
which is good for me. I think it's good because it's always good, even though the Red Sox they're not projecting them to be competing for the AL East. But if you have a competitive New York market, Boston, Chicago, those are three big markets, so it's good for baseball. Anthony, for me, I'm not shocked about the Reds. I actually picked the Reds to win the NL Central. I love their young players, so I'm not shocked the Reds are this good. They did it last year. I'm waiting to see if they bring up Rhett Lauder, right-handed pitcher from Wake Forest they drafted last year. Was probably the number 2 pitcher in the draft. I'm waiting for him. And they got some good young, obviously was it Montas is there, who was with the Yankees and the A's. Not good with the Yankees, but very good with the A's. Nick Lodi. And they obviously Ellie De La Cruz, who's been struggling, but he'll find a way to, he's too good of a player, and he's a player you got to. I think we both agree. Watch, he's exciting.
No, no, for sure. I mean, he's a lot of fun to watch, and yes, and that's another. We were talking about Pittsburgh, but that's another historic ball club that will be fun to see. Doing well again. So I agree on that take too. As that's another classic ball club that'd be good to see. Are you shocked at the right? Okay, I already said. But it's still also early in the season. But right now they're playing well too. Where do they fall in the power rankings? Okay, they fall in at 17 in the power rankings. The Reds do. Guys, if you're wondering where we get the power rankings, it's ESPN and it's updated yesterday.
I
So
mean, I'm not. For me, I was surprised last year. I'm not as surprised this year because I saw him on the field. And I mean, you got the guy they got. I can't even pronounce the third baseman who was with Washington. You got Jonathan India, who is a unbelievable ball player, another University of Florida guy.
yeah, he is.
You got Dela Cruz. I mean, they've got solid young players. I was more surprised about the Reds last year than I'm in this year. I thought for me, I think they'll be competing for the NL Central. Now that hasn't happened yet. They're obviously down, in fifth, a game above the Cardinals, but it's a very long season.
Yeah.
Uh,
So Anthony's asking, I will give my World Series predictions, and you will too. I'm going to go off the reservation today and do something that I see Orioles versus, uh, it's easy to say Dodgers, but I'm trying to really go off. So Orioles versus Phillies. There you go. Orioles versus Phillies for the World Series. I just want to be different. It's easy
I
to
mean,
predict.
I'm with you. I think the Orioles are just the Yankees. I can't accurately predict the Yankees right now just because I got to see what it's like when Cole returns, which they're saying maybe middle of June. Cole will be back. Jason Dominguez, who is a big prospect who came up last year, uh, who got hurt after 8 games, is supposed to be back. Is starting to swing now, so he could be back, and they'll project him as a starter DH. But I can't accurately predict them until I see what they're like with Cole. So I think it's the Orioles to win right now. I don't want to say it, but it's the Dodgers. But I got the Braves right there. I mean,
I know the Braves. If I was going to really, I was going to say the Braves because that was my preseason that the Braves make it back to the world. But I wanted to change it, do a little. I mean, go down
I
farther
mean,
on the list from
I
what.
get
But
baseball's a weird sport. It's not like baseball's not like any professional sport you see. It's not about the best team. It is about the hottest team going into the
yeah,
playoffs. And we see that we've seen that year in and year out. We saw that with the Nationals when won in 19. We saw it when the Braves won. We saw it last year. Nobody would have predicted last year the Diamondbacks Rangers in the World Series. So baseball's not like any other sport. It's all about getting hot at the right time and
no,
playing.
you're right. That's why everyone wants to make that wild card because if you just get in the wild card, you're playing hot at
And,
the end of
and,
the
and
year.
if we're really getting down to when the Nationals won it, they should have lost that game to the Brewers if Trent Grisham doesn't make the error and they lose. So I mean, that's how it is. One play, one fundamental play, and what do you know? The Nationals won the World Series.
No, no, you're 100% right. And it's just that's what makes baseball a lot of fun. And all the sports, of course, are a lot of fun. But I'm a football, baseball guy, so I love my baseball, and it is fun because, like you said, so many times, like the Dodgers will have one of the best records in all baseball, and then they get knocked off in the playoffs. So, and it's just crazy. So we don't know. That's what makes it fun. That's why it's a great battle to get into the wild card, even if you're that last wild card spot. You win
The
those
one
first.
Anthony, the one thing I'm going to say with you is going to be tough this year. For you got the Diamondbacks in there. For the Diamondbacks is the NL this year is super deep. So getting what do we got? Three wild card teams now too. We got three, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going
Yes.
to be tough because you're going to have one. You're going to definitely have one come out of the East. You might have one come out of the. You could have two come out of the East. You might have one come out of the Central, and then maybe one out of the West. So it's going to be tough because the NL is looking really strong.
No, you're right. So, oh man.
We got Minnesota, who your Red Sox did get one from Minnesota, but they went back to their winning ways, and they're on a 4-game win streak right now, sweeping the Mariners.
I know they've been hot as heck.
Hottest team in baseball.
Yeah, no, they are, and that's when we caught them, like right in the middle of their hot. I'm like, really? We have to get them down. Both teams spring training and Fort Myers. I've seen them play a lot in exhibition that those two teams. I'm like, really? We have to get the hot twins down, and we just did. That's baseball, like I say. It's just like we were talking about going into the playoffs. We just happened to get the hot twins, and they took the two of the three from us, but at least we escaped with one victory there.
And then we got
And
rounding out top 10. They got the Brewers, who are half a game up on the Cubs. At was it at 11? They got right now. They got Seattle, Kansas City at 12, which I'd love to see Kansas City make the playoffs. I'd be super excited. We got your Red Sox at
yes,
13, which a game above 500 right now. But what do you think about your Red Sox right now?
yeah, I'm fine. I'm a little down on them right now. They're losing 2-0 already, and they had one of our better pitchers tonight, but Towner Houck, but they touched them up for a couple runs already. But that's a whole other story. But yeah, I didn't expect much from the Red Sox this year, so them to even be above 500. It's been fun. I watch all their games, so it's an enjoyable experience too. I just wish they could get it together for longer and go through the season with a winning record and maybe battle for one of those last wild card spots, because they had to sneak in 2021 into the playoffs, and then they made it all the way to the ALCS against the Astros, so it's just like you never know. So
Yeah, we're up 1-0 right now. Judge is 0 for 0 with 2 walks. Rizzo got an RBI.
so yeah, your pitching staff for the Braves. I agree that with that, Anthony. And once they lost Strider, that was a big cog of their rotation because he's one of the better pitchers. Sal's doing well for them, as I have to rub it into myself since Russ already rubbed it in a little bit earlier. So it's tough, but he's done okay. But yeah, I think that's where they're pitching. If they were to have Strider, I would be a lot more confident about their predictions and stuff, man.
I mean,
Going on all the way. So overall, though, the Braves are still a solid team. But yeah,
I
losing
I
Strider hurts.
yeah, losing Strider definitely hurts. I think they're. I mean, I got the as of now. You got Sale, who's looking really dominant. Max Fried, who's a seasoned guy, and Charlie Morton, who's been in those big games all the time. He was with the Astros and then with the Braves is a guy you can really trust. I don't really think. I mean, and you still got Lopez there, chew up innings, AJ Minter. So I mean, I see a solid 1-2-3, and maybe Strider can get back later in the season, which I don't think they're saying season-ending injury yet.
Yeah, yeah. So no, we'll find out there, and then maybe the pendulum swings to the National League this year, Anthony, because now Otani's over in the National League, and who knows, So, but that's good, but like you say, because especially in the All-Star games, it seemed like the American League will go on a run, and the National League. Because when I was a kid, the National League almost always won, but lately it's been the American League winning the All-Star game. So, and I just think overall the talent. You got the Dodgers, who's probably baseball's best overall team, so that kind of skews the ratings and stuff. So it's just I don't know. I would say then I would give maybe a slight lean National
Yeah, I'd
League.
agree with that. Yeah, Charlie Morton's a. I mean, it's another guy. He's been kind of father. He defies father time there, where he's an older guy too. him and Verlander, Scherzer, all those guys, he kind of defies it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, if Sale is the guy for me, if he's pitching at his, if he's healthy and pitching the way he is, he's an ace. Max Fried is definitely a guy who's, he's been there and done that. So I trust both those guys. Fried was a big part of their World Series, as a big part of the rotation.
He's saying what's like about the teams, I guess. So when it comes to depth or quality teams. So, well, if we just go down the power ranking so far, we can let's see. We got let's see. We go. I know we just did it, but we got the two top teams are in the National League. Then we get the Orioles at 3, but then right back to the Braves National League. Then to the Yankees American League, Guardians American League, Rangers American League, Cubs National League, Twins American League, and then the Brewers National League. So I don't know. I guess the
I mean,
top 10 there, it's pretty even there. There's a lot of good teams there.
For me, I'm seeing, besides the top maybe five teams, I'm seeing some exciting teams. Cleveland, which really isn't, we've said really doesn't have a guy that they can advertise, is still winning. The Cubs, historic franchise, winning. The Brewers, who I was writing off at the beginning of the year, they're winning. Minnesota, who the Twins is definitely a exciting team. Hottest team in baseball, looking really good, and it's been always a great team. And so, I mean, and we're getting a lot of young talent. Obviously, Ellie De La Cruz, now Skenes is coming up. Orioles, just name it. Brewers got a guy who's struggling a little bit. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. So, I mean, I think it's an exciting time. We got a lot of great young players coming up
Oh, no,
and
for
making
sure.
impacts.
Have you followed how Jackson Holiday doing down back in the minors? Is
I
he
have
back out?
not followed it. I mean,
Yeah, me either. Because I guess he just wasn't ready for the major, or he just happened to get cold, which is baseball. Sometimes,
I'm sure he was. He's pressing.
yeah, he
He's
was
just.
pressing because all rookies press, and then he has the name on top of it.
His name's Holiday. He's been touted as, this guy's the future, and he's the best prospect in baseball.
Can't
And
miss, right?
can't miss, 1 for 34, something like that. So, I mean, he was just probably pressing really hard, and it's good for him.
No, baseball. There's a book, The Mental Game of Baseball, out there because
What baseball's 95? Was it 95%
you're,
mental,
yeah,
5% physical?
yeah, I know. It's just because you have to have confidence, man. It's just because if you can play, if you're at the major league level and you can play ball, you just can't let the bad runs get into make them longer. You got to just over. You got to put a bad at bat away or a bad pitch if you're a pitcher away, and not, you can't sit there and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe I grooved that fastball to one of the best hitters in baseball." Or every hitter is going to start rocking you, So you just got to come back with the next pitch.
In baseball, if you fail 7 times, you could still be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's a failing sport. I mean, Derek Jeter said the best. He goes, if you go in knowing you're going to fail, you'll succeed, because it's just a failing game. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, it is, man. It's like you say, and look, and for someone to get a hit 40% of the time in a single season hasn't been done since Ted Williams hit 400. So it just shows you how hard success is to hit 300. You're a Hall of Famer, and obviously now they look at all the homers and the OPS and all these new fancy numbers. But to me, if you have a high average and you hit a whole lot of homers, you're a damn good ball player. That's my
I look at, if we're, and I'm gonna, all these guys talking about baseball, it's boring, it's this and that. But if you look at one of who's a hot name right now, who's one of probably the best athletes we've seen in all sports, Deion Sanders, and they asked him which is harder, football or baseball. He said it's baseball was the hardest thing he's ever done. Baseball is probably the hardest sport you'll ever play. And the amount of people who I hear who've never played baseball before because they'll play soccer, they'll play basketball. It's easy. I'm like, go try to hit a curveball. Go for it. I want to see
Yep.
it. You can
Yeah,
talk. I know it's slow.
and
It's
all those
sport.
guys talking trash couldn't even hit a straight fastball from
No,
any of
no,
these,
we saw
with no movement, nothing, just right down the middle, 90 miles something per hour.
we
They
saw
would
one
be.
of they had Neymar came out to a Mets game and he was hitting in the cage. This is one of the best athletes probably in the world. He couldn't even hit a 50-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah,
So
I
this
know.
guy,
It's just.
it's just like the amount of people that trash baseball because it's so easy. I'm like, if you don't have hand-eye coordination, you're not going to hit.
Yeah,
It's just, yeah, I know it's slow. It's a thinking man's game.
yeah.
But
No,
I
because
mean,
it is every pitch. Because you're like, oh, he just threw me a fastball. Is he coming back with a fastball, or is he coming with a breaking ball? Is he going to come inside? He's going to come outside. It's just always a mental game, and it's great. And all games have their mental aspects, but baseball is just even that much more. And it's incredible. Like I say, because if you get a field goal kicker that was only hitting 30% of his kicks, field goals, he'd be out of the NFL in a minute. So it's
yeah,
just like,
if field goal kickers in college, if they miss a field goal, they get death threats.
I know exactly. So but it's just I'm saying, you're done, and that's it. But they know these guys in baseball, they're going to get out more, no matter how good you are. Name me the best baseball player right now in baseball, and he gets out more than he gets a hit. Some of their OPSs may be way up there, or their on base percentage, but as far as just getting a hit, it's so hard to do, man. It's so hard. That'd be like if they told me, that'd be one of the hardest things in baseball. If they said try to get a hit against a major league pitcher with major league infielders behind them. So even if you make the play, if you make contact, you better find a hole somewhere. So they're going to get you out.
Right. I mean, Rob, before we wrap it up here, 6 weeks, what are you looking forward to, you know, up and coming for this, this weekend? You got anything you're watching?
Well, obviously, Skenes that we talked on the very top of the show. And hopefully, my team, of course, always personal. I want my Red Sox to do well. Now they're down 3-0, only in the third inning. And it's just, so that's kind of disappointing. But other than that, I definitely want to see Skeen, see what he does. Should be interesting. I hope he has a great performance and goes out there and lives up to the hype on his first game. I know he's probably not going to meet like Strasburg's first game where I think he struck out 14 guys. I don't think he'd get that many innings tomorrow. I'm not sure, but we'll see because he's only been, unless he just makes the most of those 75 pitches because they say he's been 75 pitch count in the minors. So I don't know what the Pirates are going to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm watching. I'm gonna go out and try to watch Skeens, and my Yankees are here in Tampa, so I might try to keep an eye on some tickets there, and if they Rays don't really sell at their stadium too much, so you can.
So even if the Yankees in town, you can get decent prices.
I saw 42 2 days before, like $70 for a third base side, but it's dropped if you wait to a couple hours before game time because they don't even sell out. I mean, I'm surprised. Yankees usually do, but I mean, obviously you got a big Yankees contingency here in Tampa because of the spring training facility.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that's
But
why I was thinking.
I mean,
Not
we're up one
surprising,
nothing.
Jeff. Not surprising. So he's the
Yeah,
Orioles
right.
fan. So not surprising. So
We're
I
up
got
1-0 already,
yeah.
but it's
My Red Sox are down 3-0 at the end of three now, but that's
but
for another story for another day. So
as always, Rob, it's a pleasure. Always a great time to do this on Friday nights. I'm Russ Morgan here with Rob Mosley. This is on deck. Everybody, like, subscribe, share it, get us out there. You guys have a good night.
thank you guys. Batter up. Enjoy the baseball weekend.